Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Dona Kappmeyer, and I'm the CEO and firm owner of Capital Game Plan Consulting and Action Coach in South Texas. And I am going to be your host for today. I am very excited about having our special guest, Christopher Radliff, on our show. Christopher is the CEO and founder of Lucerna Financial Group. And today we're going to talk with Chris about his journey to get to where he's at and the challenges and successes of owning and operating a business. If this is the first time on our show, please be sure to like and subscribe so you can get notifications when we publish new content. Well, Chris, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here and yeah, excited for the conversation.
Me too. Me too. It's been a little while coming. So let's go ahead and get started by talking about how did you get started in this business in the first place and what is it all about?
Yeah. So to give you some background on me, so I'm from upstate New York, and when I got started in this business, actually I was trying to find an internship. This is actually when I was at Florida State University in college, but I was going back to upstate New York for the summer. And I was interviewing with GE for an internship. My dad worked there for many, many years, helped me get interviews, etc. And they interviewed me like four times, said I was a great candidate, and they at the end of it they didn't give me the offer. And the reason why is they wanted me to reapply in a few years once I was a senior, basically. Um, and I still remember like how annoyed I was that that's the reason why that they wouldn't give me an offer is just purely based off my age.
Mm.
Um, and that's kind of the first inkling of knowing like I wanted to be in control of my own destiny, and I really didn't see myself kind of going down the corporate ladder, but um, what eventually happened. So about a week later, I get a call from my dad, and he mentioned that he just saw one of his friends, and he said, that his they're looking for financial planning interns, and for the summer, and I wanted to try as many things as I could, so I, took him up on the offer to hear them out on the opportunity, and that's how I got started with Northwestern Mutual. And that's kind of evolved over time into having my own firm on Northwestern Mutual's platform. But really started as an intern when I was 19, and we've grown it into what we are today. And we have about 550 households across the US that we're serving. I have two full-time employees. And then I also coach and mentor about six other advisors that are basically trying to do what I've done, which is build their own practice. Um, but everything happens for a reason. I really do think that the reason why I didn't get that internship with GE was to eventually lead me into this career.
I like that you said that because often we get frustrated when a door closes on us, but really what it's doing is allowing us for us to experience something even greater.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
you've been in this a little while, so let's talk about, the beginnings of this. What did your first 12 months look like?
Yeah. So yeah, I've been doing it's almost been 9 years now. It'll be 9 years in May. Um, and in terms of the first 12 months, I was living at home because essentially you're building your business from scratch. So I was trying to, scrap together as much capital as I could just to make sure because I knew I wanted to invest in my business in the long run. But first 12 months, I was really living at home, saving up a lot of cash, but typically, and you can ask my mom to verify this, but typically was getting home, 8:30, 9 o'clock at night after doing some late meetings. So I was really trying to get anyone on the calendar that I meet with. And the first year was a lot of seeing a lot of potential clients, and getting my name out there, building some centers of influences, et cetera. But what I realized, throughout that year is what I learned to do is be more effective in those meetings. So it was a big learning curve for me going from just seeing a lot of people, but how do we actually turn those into more, beneficial client relationships?
Hmm.
So the first half of my first year, I had a good start, but I knew I wasn't where I wanted to be. So I made some internal tweaks and started implementing some of these strategies that some of my mentors and other coaches encouraged me to do. And I went all in on it, um, even though it didn't really feel very natural. And that the next 6 months, I actually doubled my production and the outputs that I was getting just by making a few tiny tweaks. Um, in I didn't even when I was doing it, I didn't believe it was going to work. It felt weird, but I trusted their judgment, and yeah, so that's when we really started to grow.
That's fantastic, right? So you're able to pivot, put some things in place that didn't feel right, but it actually worked. Are you still doing those same things today?
Yeah, so I mean, it really depends on kind of the season of the business. When I say season, I mean Um, you kind of go through waves as a business owner where you feel like, things are going really well. I don't want to change, mess with any of this. Or sometimes you feel like you're in a rut or, you're kind of doing the same thing over and over again and it kind of feels repetitive. So, um, definitely at this point in time, we're working on kind of slowing down the speed up. And we've always had a lot of client meetings on the calendar and which we still will continue to do. But how do we get it to the point to where, we're having more impactful conversation and more, more impactful relationships with clients. We're trying to really deepen those relationships now. So yes, we're constantly evolving. Now we don't always have a roadmap on how to do it like I did in that scenario. So that's kind of the hard part, and that's the hard part of being a business owner at times is you don't always have a system or anything in place. You kind of have to create it and figure out what works and what doesn't work. So, but yeah, we're constantly evolving and trying new things, enhance the client experience and deepen our relationships with our clients.
Well said. So let's explore that a little bit more. So let's talk about your client base and who do you consider your ideal client?
Yeah, our typical ideal clients are really just families and small businesses that really care about their future and want to arrive well positioned. Obviously, most people will tell you that they want to arrive well positioned, but then they won't be saving money or they won't be ready to take action on things. So for us, we're really focused on working with families and individuals that care about their future are ready to take action on taking the right steps financially to build financial security. Um, and we also do work with some clients in like the Big Four accounting world and the tech space. So we are very well versed in kind of the complications that come from a tax standpoint with those types of clients. But this year we're really focused on working with small business owners
Okay.
and families. Our average client household last year, from an income standpoint, was about 350,000. But what I have noticed is some of our best clients, our favorite relationships, are people that actually aren't making as much, but they're just very disciplined with their money. So, I still look back at some of our favorite client relationships, and some of those people do not make 350 a year, but they save more than some of the people that are making 500,000 a year. So, um, but really for us, values is what's most important. Being coachable, and wanting to really make changes to improve your situation in the long run.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So let's talk about those initial conversations with a potential prospect. What are some of the mistakes that people make before even coming to you?
Yeah, I would say, especially when working business owners, I'd say it is pure like just getting too busy and procrastinating. And not even necessarily just for business owners, but really for anyone that has a family. I mean, especially young families, right? I mean, parents are juggling, okay, making sure their kids are getting their schoolwork done, taking them to sports, extracurricular activities, and then on top of that, balancing a very high, I guess, high demand type of, business or job that they're in. So I'd say really just inaction, and just kind of procrastinating it. Like most people know that they need to make some changes. It's just a matter of, or they might know that they need to get some sort of life insurance or whatever in place or long-term care planning in place, or they know that they need to figure out a better solution for their business when it comes to retirement planning to make sure that they can retain their employees, whatever it may be.
Hmm.
Uh, it just they get caught up in the madness of life, and that's that's also the world that we live in today, though. So many distractions out there, and I really think that one of the main value adds that our team brings to the table, and this is unique to us, but not unique to just us, is we help people kind of take a step back and take a step off the treadmill of life of going a million miles an hour and actually think about, okay, like really, what is all this for? I'm saving all this money into these different accounts, and I haven't even thought about what it's like for me to take out from these accounts in the future. Like, is that going to be ideal? So I'd say that procrastination, getting too busy, kind of putting things on the back burner. Um, and then I'd say the other mistake that I see a lot is, they assume that they're all set because someone online told them they should do X, Y, or Z, or they have a family member, like great uncle that says, "Oh, this is all you should do with your money." Um, and that sometimes will lead people down the wrong path just purely not because those people don't care, and it's not that they don't know what they're talking about. They just don't typically know the person's situation in full.
Hmm.
So it's very easy to make general advice on the internet, um, but it might not be tailored directly to your situation. So I'd say those are some of the major mistakes that we see.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, it's really, it's not always true that whatever's on the internet will apply to me, nor it may not be true. So you need that custom conversation, if you will, tailored to that particular individual or that family. So if we think about, I like to ask folks, why should someone do business with you? What would your clients say about you if you were to describe it or have them describe you in one sentence?
Yeah, one sentence. Say someone that's dependable, gets back to me quickly, provides unbiased advice, and really tells me what I need to know. So those are some of the main reasons why clients work with us. Um, I would say in a service-based business or a relationship style business like I am in, and I'm sure to whoever's listening to this, I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have some level of relationships within your businesses. I think the easiest way to differentiate yourself in today's world is just how fast are you getting back to people?
Yeah.
Um, so like if I'm in a meeting, and I see someone reaches out to me, typically I'll shoot a quick note. I might even say in the meeting, be like, "Hey, give me 10 seconds. Let me just shoot this over." And I might send it to Alex and my team to go actually reach out to that client then and there, just because that's kind of the difference between me and someone, other advisors out there. I actually just got off the phone with a potential client this morning, and I won't name the firm that they're
Okay.
reaching out to, but they just inherited an account from their father, and they've called the person 4 times and over the last 2 weeks, and they haven't got a call back yet.
Mm,
And it just amazes me because this is a time this person really needs them. Right. I mean, very big
yeah.
transition period. Just lost their father. Now, it was expected. It wasn't like it was, wasn't expected, but, this person is very stressed out, trying to figure out all the moving parts of the situation, as most people are when someone passes away. Can be a very challenging situation to get organized around and very stressful. And this person is hearing crickets from them. So, uh,
Mm,
and I think that's a lot of businesses out there. It's a very easy way to separate ourselves from any alternative options, is by just getting back to people, following through on what you say you're going to do, and tell people what they really need to hear, not always what they want to hear.
you would think as simple as it is just reaching back out would be commonplace, and it's not.
Mhm.
and even basic, customer service that used to be so common is not. So getting back to those basics, right,
Mhm.
does so much and really can differentiate you because
Mhm.
you're covering the bases that we took for granted. And so well done on doing that.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I don't know about you, but there's nothing that gets me, I guess, more frustrated than when I have to call whatever for some sort of service or some
Mhm.
company that I need to talk to about something and get on the phone and it's like an AI bot or something like that. That also drives that drives me nuts too. I'm like, just put me through to someone that can
Yes.
actually answer the question instead of just repeating the same thing over and over again. So
Yeah, zero pound, whatever it is to get me bypass the menu to get me to a live body.
yeah,
Yeah, I hear you. I hear it's so frustrating.
yeah.
So let's talk about your future state. Where do you want this business to be in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. So I mean, our goal is to continue growing in terms of the amount of obviously clients that we have, but also I'd say for us, really developing other advisors on our team that can also serve clients, and getting to the point to where, you know, let's say that I'm on vacation or I have something that comes up, a family emergency, whatever it may be, that we feel confident that the business can continue to move forward and all of our clients can feel comfortable with multiple relationships with members on our
Mhm.
team instead of just relying solely on the relationship with me. So I'd say that's where we're headed is, not just focusing on the clients I'm speaking to and that I'm the lead on, but also developing other members of our team, whether that's through acquiring other businesses, like other books of business, training them from scratch, onboarding them from other institutions that have similar that do similar work to what we do. So I'd say that's really the future for us is just expanding that way. Because ultimately, we want to make sure our clients stay with us for years and years to come. And ultimately, the more relationships that they have with members on our team, like the stickier that they will be. So that's ultimately our goal for the next 5, 10 years, is really developing those deeper relationships and expanding kind of our team in terms of who has relationships with what clients and whatnot.
Very good. So let's go into a little bit more about that relationship side because you are in a heavy relationship business, kind of like we are as well. So
Mhm.
it requires a certain kind of person to kind of fill that role. So as you look at recruiting and hiring, what does that look like for you? Who do you screen? What kind of traits are you looking for when you're bringing somebody on?
Yeah, so that's that's something we're always thinking about. So when it comes to like hiring and recruiting, I would say one big piece is do they have a vision for the future? And does their vision align with what the firm can provide them? Um, and really just in recruiting and onboarding impressive people, what we've found is that most people that are pretty impressive wind up figuring some things out because ultimately
Hmm.
when you make a hire, I mean, it is definitely a gamble. And one of my mentors and one of my business coaches, always says, hire slow, fire fast.
Hmm.
And we can obviously we take our time in the hiring process. It's usually at least 4 to 5 conversations, formal discussions, and typically maybe one or two check-ins in between, of course. But we definitely take our time. And I would say, people that are bought into building something that's bigger than themselves, that want to serve and help people around them or in the community, or just across the country, create a more stable financial future for themselves. Sometimes people will have like unique personal experiences that bring them into the business. Um, and that also is very important too is, if someone has a lot of conviction behind what they do, because maybe, they had someone that, a parent that passed away when they were young and they didn't have the proper planning in place and they want to make sure every single family has that, set up. or someone that goes through an experience with a family member that has had a long-term care need to from a planning standpoint, but no one ever educated their great aunt on it now that they're worried about cleaning up all these little messes from all the complications that come with that. So there are different things that will drive people, but I'd say someone that has a vision for the future, wants to make an impact, has grit. So if you're in this business, like, there's definitely rejection, just like any business. And That's really what separates a lot of advisors. I'd say the people that make it in this business are people that are okay with hearing no and focus on the inputs. So I'd say vision, grit, and then really just caring for other people. Those are some of the things that we really focus on.
Well said. Well said. So, one of the challenges too with expanding your team is determining, what do I hold on to versus what am I comfortable with delegating. And as owners, we want to hold on to everything and we really struggle with delegation. So, what does that look like for you? And when do you make that decision as far as, okay, I'm good with handing this off?
Yeah. One of my coaches, I actually don't even remember who it was, but I remember them saying this to me. It was if someone can do it 80% to what you can do, like they can do it 80% as well as you, then you should eventually delegate it, unless it's like some sort of, key metric. So for me, for example, like some of those key metrics I probably will never delegate for a very, very long time is seeing our A and our A plus level clients, because that's ultimately something that I want to make sure our clients are getting the best. Now, for example, sending confirmation messages for meetings, that's something, well, okay, it's not as critical as, having a meaningful relationship with some of our top clients. So that might be something we'll look to outsource first. So really evaluating, okay, what makes sense to, for me to spend my time on, what really drives revenue and drives growth for the firm, but also drives impact,
Hmm.
versus what are some things that, you know, other people can really handle, and they might even do it better than I can. I know Alex on my team is extremely detailed, and I'm very detailed too when I have time to be. But when I'm bouncing from meeting to meeting, I really rely on him to keep everything organized, and I think he's better at some of the organizational stuff than I even am. So um, that's what I would say on delegation.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, nobody's going to do it the way that you do it 100% of the time. And if you can get to that 80% is 100% awesome. So, love that advice that you were given because it is very true. Um, if you were to give advice, any other additional advice to our audience who are business owners, what would be kind of your number one thing?
Yeah. So I actually was asked this question because I was speaking to the entrepreneurship program at St. Mary's University last week, and I got a very similar question. And my response was, no matter what it is, no matter what business you're running, no matter if it's you're just starting out today or you're running a team, like I said, I don't have a team of 50, but even if you are, there's got to be you got to focus on a few metrics per day that you're going to control. And that's really going to be the determining factor if it was a successful day for you or not. So for me, when I started, it was always, how many phone calls am I making? How many reach outs to clients? How many appointments am I keeping, et cetera. Now you kind of got to customize that to your business. For some people, it might be literally going and showing up at, a business, or making a phone call or sending a certain amount of emails, out to potential clients. Um, Whatever those really main drivers are, I'd identify them and then focus on, okay, what is my commitment daily that will lead to the results that we need, and hold yourself to that standard. And that's what I'd recommend for any business owner is really build out those standards for yourself, hold yourself accountable to them. And as the business changes, the things that you focus on might be different. And that's natural as you delegate more and more things.
Very good. Well said. Is there anything else you'd like our audience to know about you or know about the business?
I mean, from our standpoint, our team, I said we are growing. So if you're hearing this and you're like, oh, I've been procrastinating this stuff, or I haven't really looked at the stuff in a while, definitely feel free to reach out to us. I'm sure that Donna will put my contact information in the description and whatnot, but it's my email is christopher.radliff@nm.com. My phone number is 518-937-1117. So feel free to reach out, and even if you're just looking for some encouragement in terms of like getting your business off the ground, and even if it's not about becoming a client, I'd love to stay in contact because you never know, in the future how we can help one another. Um, the one other piece I will bring up about kind of my journey is, and it's very common across all entrepreneurs, but when I was first getting started, I still remember, even some of my mentors, some of the leaders like around me, they were even doubting me. And you're going to have people in your life that are going to tell you that you're crazy for trying to do what you're trying to start a business, and trying to do something that's uncommon. And you got to make sure you're very careful about who you listen to and who you don't. And one thing that I focus on is like taking advice from people that have accomplished or have been around others that have accomplished what I want to accomplish. Um, and there's so many people out there that are contemplating going down the entrepreneurial path, um, that have someone random in their life. And like I said, they don't necessarily have any ill intentions, but they say, oh, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you go the safe route? Or, you should just go stay at your job. Um, and it's a lot of those people are typically folks that never bet on themselves and took the risk and they didn't get to where you
Right.
want to be anyway. So just being very, very cognizant of who's giving you advice. And I'd really hold on to the advice of people that you want to emulate. Um, and, I listen to a lot of Alex Hermosi, and he talks a lot about ultimately like, many people in the world will say that you are very similar. You end up being like the five people that you spend the most time with,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I think can be true. So like surrounding yourselves with the right people and making sure that you're, spending time with people that have the right intentions and are focused on the same types of goals. But what Hormozy says is really focusing, like you become who you compare yourself to. So if you're constantly comparing yourself to some very high level performers and high impact people, typically that'll elevate your standards. Now there is some give and take in that kind of mythology in terms of like you don't want to just compare yourself because comparison at times is the thief of all joy, and you might be doing a great job, but you might look up to someone that's absolutely crushing it and crushing your numbers, and you're like, well, I feel like I'm doing good. I don't know what else I can be doing, but these people are doing three times the amount as what we're doing. So don't let that, have the negative spin on it, but use it for motivation to continue growing. I would say. So compare yourself to people that you want to emulate, surround yourself with those types of people, and just make sure that if you're taking advice from anyone, it's from the right sources.
Those are some serious nuggets, some serious gold nuggets. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, anytime. So
And Christopher, thank you so much for sharing your story. This has been fantastic, and I really believe our audience is going to get a lot of valuable information from this. This is a Business Spotlight series with Dona Kappmeyer along with Christopher Radliff from Lucerna Financial Group. Please be sure to like and subscribe so you can continue to see our great content. Chris, thank you so much for being on our show today.
anytime. Thanks for having me, and I wish everyone that some good luck that's listening to this, and let's get after these goals.
You betcha. Let's get after them. Let's do it. Bye for now.